So not that often.
Like
If
monthly,
no,
yearly?
I mean $100,000 piece. That's like for me where I am right now. Like in photography, especially, like there's not that many pieces that are priced at that period. Like that's photography compared to painters, painting, traditional painting. That painting's always going to sell for more because people can wrap their head around the pricing better. They're like, there's one of these. With photography, there's often a couple editions, 3 editions, 5 editions, 10, 20, 50, whatever it is, up to, hundreds, thousands sometimes. It's harder for people to wrap their head around, so they're not comfortable. I think the most expensive photo ever sold is a couple million, 4.5, something around 5 million, while the most expensive painting is significantly more than that. But, I'd say for the most part, like if I get a couple sales over 10 grand a month, like I'm satisfied because I'm getting my artists, money for rent, money to continue to create work. If I get a $50,000 sale, that's huge to me. I mean, I'm not going around spending 50 a night or anything like that. But the $100,000 sales I get from people like Banksy and I get from people like Warhol, and then some of Tyler's pieces at auction and Marcus Klinko. Those are the only people that I represent or that I've sold that are selling in that bracket. But that takes 20 years to get there. That's a good question. I know
there was a lot of controversy.
No. That shit was crazy.
Did it ever actually sell?
Secret Service pulled up at the house. Like, I'm talking about closed off the whole block, helicopters, like, took 30 cars.
What was it? Were you involved in it?
Not that shoot particularly, but I was I was at the house, like, probably the next day. Like, the neighborhood kids thought that he was, like either like a serial killer or like a CIA, because there was always shit going on. One day there's a lion walking into his backyard. They're like, what is going on at this house? When I was neighbors with him, it wasn't that crazy. It was more just like the people that were coming in and out. And then in the past couple years, it's been like he pulls up with a Ferrari one day and then it's on fire, and then there's a lion in the backyard and then the lion's gone. And so I wasn't there for the Kathy Griffith thing, but like, dude, like that was not like a, simple aftermath. They really took that seriously. But Tyler comes from military, so he was like prepared for, like, his family's military. So he could sit there, they can interrogate him for 30 days and he'd be like, so I believe that it was the shoot. It was her idea. Okay. And he's such like a person for shock, but like he loves it. He was like, yeah, he'll shoot anything. Right. So she was like, yo, I have this, whatever, I want to shoot this. And he was like, okay, cool. Here's the photo. And then I think she was like, in the moment, was like, this is going to be dope. Like, I'm going to release this. And then it came out and then people did not like it. And then he was like, well, I kind of told you not to do that. But I think it helped him. Yeah, right? I mean, here's the thing. If you really look at like his work and, specifically the controversial photos, like they're controversial because of people's take on it, not the photo themselves. Mm-hmm. I mean, let alone like art is controversial and it's supposed to turn heads and it's supposed to make people look twice. But his take on thing is more like, his photos are more like, you take a look at this. Tell me what you think. It's like, it's never really from one perspective. Like he did this one photo of like a bunch of like chimps or apes, I guess they're apes, in like the Oval Office. He built a full size like Oval Office, like they're one of the real tables, like the whole thing. And people were freaking out. Oh, like this is Trump, this is Obama, this is all of, throwing out these names. He's like, it's not. Like, I didn't say any of that. Like, that's your take on it, 100%, like whatever it is. But I didn't say this. By the way, if you're really gonna pick anyone, these suits are from the 60s. The drapes are from the 60s. So it's not Trump and it's not Obama and it's not. You go back, 40 years, 50 years, and it's still not anyone you guys have just said. So, that I think is, he did it in a very delicate way and has been able to continue working without getting, the wrong team against him, whatever it is, because of the fact that he's creating art. He's not creating social statements with a specific goal. Right. He's more just like, this is how I see things, or this is how people are seeing things. Art. It's a hard line.
It is a hard line.
I could never, like, I always say, like, I just went to my first comedy show the other day, viewing, and I was like, damn, like, I don't know if I could do that. Like, I would immediately toe the line towards offensive. Like, I would cross that line instantaneously because it's a hard one. You have to, like, read the crowd. Like, I was in Santa Barbara, it's probably 95% white people in there. and like you have to read the crowd. Like they probably won't think some of the things that I think are funny.
So I think there's a balance.
And I think people also with the comedy thing, like some people just don't view comedy as an art. Like that's what I think. Like a lot of, you know, like when you see like towing a line of offensive, it's like, okay, well, what do you view comedy as? Is it for your specific enjoyment, or is it for everyone's enjoyment? And if it is for everyone's enjoyment, like what is considered wrong? What is considered free game when you're performing?
Right.
You know, like and that's a weird that's a hard question in every industry right now. And I think that for, you know, when I look at art and when I look at photography, it's a very white male dominated industry.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, for sure. Especially in fine art. Not so much like, I think the rest of the world it's definitely like catching up. But traditional fine art, it's like you'll be hard pressed to find a non-white male photographer that is selling in a certain price bracket. And that's something that I've looked at with a lot of my artists. It's like, you know, where do you just say this person's talented and they also happen to be this race and this ethnicity and this background, whatever? Or where do you just say like, okay, this person's talented? And, you know, I'm proud of the diversity that I have with my artists that I represent. But like when I look at pieces that I'm just selling that are coming in commission, it's like, okay, like it's hard. I mean, it's hard to find someone in photography that isn't white, male, old, or dead, mostly dead. And that's art in general a lot of the times. Now, in like, you know, I'm not like a painting expert by any means, but what I've been seeing on the fine art side of like painting is like there is this huge surgence of African artists that are selling super well now, that are dominating exhibitions, dominating shows, and that's been super cool to see because like a lot. I mean, for me, like I like that style of art. I like the high contrast colors.
Yeah.
There's this artist, I can't remember his name, that's taking like pieces of plastic and like just covering like towns like in this like really cool almost fabric looking, I don't know, like thing. I don't know what other words to describe it. And he's covering these like towns, these little villages, and it's just so like weirdly powerful just immediately, like without knowing who's doing it or anything. And it's cool to see that like coming into places like Art Basel, which for a long time, you know, may have like is stuffy and old. But yeah, it's a weird line. And you know, it's like you also don't, for me, it's like I don't want to be like, oh, there's that white guy just, you know, signing another non-white guy because he thinks it's going to make him look better. It's like everyone that I work with, I personally have a very close relationship with, and also just really fuck with their art, you know? And I think that they fit inside the aesthetic of my gallery, but not because I'm trying to, just because I just happen to be attracted to those people in my life, you know?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, it's funny. I remember so clearly I got interviewed outside of the LAX airport coming from Salt Lake City. I was shooting this show called Granite Flats. And I remember like these like, I think they were called the polite paparazzi. They were like people that were like ex-TMZ, but like left because they didn't want to be like rude. Loser. No, I'm just kidding. They were super nice. And I remember them asking me like, I don't remember if I was dating someone at the time or what it was, but they're like, you have a girl back home? And I was like, fuck, like this is like, and I was like maybe 13, 14. And I got so nervous. I remember being like, no, but I kind of was. And I was worried that they were going to see it. But for me, you know, early years, like I didn't have time really. Like I was in and out of school. I mean, I rarely spent more than 3-4 months in LA at a time until I was like 16.
Yeah.
And of like, I'm trying to think, like, I don't think I had my first girlfriend and like, I had this one girlfriend when we were in 3rd grade. This is most LA. She was like maybe in 5th grade. She's still a close friend.
Shit.
And we met on Facebook and she was like, I like your movies. That was the only time that
Also,
ever was relevant.
well,
I mean, it's still pretty far. I mean,
It's pretty far back,
yeah, I
yeah.
guess so. Yeah.
How old are you?
22.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like
How old are you guys?
35.
35?
Yeah.
32,
no
so-
more.
32. I don't know. How old are you in 3rd grade?
8.
Yeah. So
9?
it's not that far.
You
I think
knew.
9. I think
You were
9.
No, yeah, that I guess it wasn't that long ago. Feels like, I mean, third grade. I was like, I feel like that part of my life though, like it was so nonstop that like it's hard to recall things.
Yeah.
Like I was in a different city every couple months. So,
But
but
you-
I was dating the older woman, and
Yeah.
she ended the relationship. I remember so clearly. We were in a pool, we were swimming around, and she was like, "Hey, like I think we got to end things. Like this relationship's too mature."
Whoa.
Because we were like making out.
Whoa.
Whoa, third grade. Dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a Hollywood. He's a
'Cause-
Hollywood
well, 'cause
25
I
in
would
third
see
grade.
it on, like, I'd be like in, I was in a movie called Date Night probably at the time, and like, I'd
Oh,
see
Date
people
Night.
like
That's,
making out and
Steve
swearing
Carell.
and all this stuff, and I'd be like, oh, this is what I do. Date Night, it was
Steve
Steve
Carell?
Carell,
Yeah.
Tina
Oh,
Fey,
yeah.
yeah. It was a fun one, but yeah, but
You've lived a lot of lives by third grade.
I have a problem with people that say that because I visited my friend in Idaho when we were like 13, and these kids were like buck wild. Like compared to
fair.
what I was
That's
doing,
fair.
like they were like, I mean, because like they didn't have anything else to do. It's
Yeah.
just like, let's go mudding and like steal our parents' alcohol. You
Yeah.
know, at like 13, I was like, what is going on? But yeah, she ended it because it was too mature. And I remember I swam under the water and I screamed at the top of my lungs. Like I remember
That's
screaming.
some dramatic stuff
And then
right there.
I came up, I came up from the water and I was just like, oh, it's all good. So
Were you
House
guys?
at?
I think it was probably my parents' house.
Did you kick her out?
No, I had to play it cool.
Yeah. Good move. Good
Yeah,
move.
I'm pretty sure my mom was the one that was chatting with her.
Oh wow.
Like I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. And I remember my mom also had another girlfriend that from Twitter, and I don't know if this girl even knows who I am, but I used to carry around a photo of her in my wallet. This was in my probably 5th grade, and she's a supermodel now. Like I fumbled the bag with that one. Her name's like Thylene Blondiau. She's like one of the top models in the world. But somewhere on someone's Twitter there was like 10 messages, and we were like boyfriend and girlfriend on Twitter messages.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't know. Later on, I feel like once I got to high school, I kind of had this perspective of like, I've worked for a long time. I know what it means to like, it was hard work. It wasn't like I was just like, showing up to set and like smiling and then leaving. It was like a lot of work and like a lot of stress and not an easy way to grow up in some forms, and in other forms, yeah, for sure. But I had this perspective on people that I would like see like complaining about paying for things and like, like, oh, just having no concept of money. And that was really hard for me to like understand because I was paying for all my own things by like 15 or 14. And it kind of like, I don't know, there were a lot of like when I was just before Instagram when it comes to like acting and all that stuff. So like I never had like I don't have a big following. I was private on Instagram for a long time. Like, and like when I was in high school, all my friends were like Instagram famous and they'd be sent things and like all this shit. And like, oh, I got to take photos with my, my shirt today. Like shit, such a busy day. And like people that I like would otherwise be like, oh, that girl's hot. Like that girl's awesome. Cool. I didn't have that like emotional understanding. Like I always just felt like I was just, I don't know, like different
Perspective at least.
Yeah, and like then I would kind of get down on myself. It's just like, why are you're not any different. You just like have different life experiences.
But not special. You didn't think you were special.
No,
You
I
just
didn't think. Yeah, but when you're like I don't know, when I throughout my life like find times where I'm like I other myself. Like I'll be in a room with a bunch of people. I feel like it's just like a human condition of being like no one's having the same experience as me, and it was just heightened by the fact that I actually just had a different experience from most of my peers. And even like the acting kids I also didn't really like see eye to eye with because I had the normal high school experience, while they were like already flying themselves places and like getting houses, and like they were super mature in some ways but like emotionally like 12 in other ways.